If you ask why there are towels behind me, you won't get a really good answer. But today I'm doing an article aftermath number 7, which is about my misleadingly poorly named deck, rank 2 fairies. Originally when I came up with the idea, it was just going to be rank 2 stuff, and I was going to have like Nimble Manga, and Giant Germ, and Deep Sea Diva. Then I remember Diva was at 1, and Nimble is kind of slow, and Giant Germ is just terrible. So I kind of opted out from that idea. Initially, this deck also had like 57 Pot of Dichotomies, but that card still isn't that great yet, so it became what it was. I always wanted the burn loop in there with Cannon Soldier, but I decided to add in Fairies. First and foremost, I'll describe this Cannon Soldier burn. I wasn't really that descriptive in it because I talked about more of the other... I shouldn't have talked about so much the other burn loops, and I should have just talked about this Cannon Soldier burn loop. What you end up needing is 2 Kobolds in the graveyard, Plague Spreader on the field, and a Cannon Soldier on the field. And with all the milling, and then Plague Spreader's effect and Kobold's effect, fairly consistently, I mean, obviously with only 1 Cannon Soldier and 2 Kobolds and no Foolish and Plague, like, it's not going to happen all the time. But the thing is, decks like that are really fragile, and so I kind of wanted, and with that strategy, you could do a max. Well, depending on how many cards you have in your hand, you could do like 6,000 damage in there with Plague Spreader. Anyway, if you could normal summon Plague Spreader or call the Haunted Plague Spreader, Cannon Soldier, you have your Cannon Soldier on the field, then you can either call the Haunted, your Plague Spreader, stack your Plague Spreader, meaning use its effect to summon it, or normal summon it. And then you can either normal summon Kobold or use its effect to summon to the field. You have to have 2 of them. I don't really know how else to explain that any better because it's really easy to have all 4 of those components somewhere in your hand or graveyard. And then you summon 2 Kobolds, stack them on top for an XYZ with Gachi. Use Cannon Soldier's effect to tribute off the Gachi for 500, and then summon both Kobolds again. Make Gachi number 2, and then 3, and then Herald, and then all 3 Digesto Phoenixes if you haven't used those already, and then both Kobolds. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then Kobold, and Plague Spreader makes a Dark Mist, which is 8. And then you summon back Plague Spreader, Kobold. So you tribute off the 2 Kobolds again. It's 9, 10. And then you tribute off Plague Spreader, that's 11. And then you tribute off Cannon Soldier, which is 12. And if you have any other monster on the field, I mean, that's 6,000 damage right there, which is, I mean, there's with whether they played a warning or anything like that, or if you attack with a Hyperion. I don't know, like, it's just not that hard to just really do. And I guess I made it really confusing because, especially one guy was like, it's a random Cannon Soldier. I'm like, it's not really random. I mean, it's kind of a loop. I guess maybe I was trying something too crazy. What did I change about the deck? This isn't a deck I really played with much after I made it. I didn't really like the dualities after it so much. Charge were pretty good. I don't know. Agents have just never been. I mean, I wish they made more agents. Like, they still have. See, they've done Mercury. Have they done Mercury? There's 2 left. Whichever Pluto, if you count Pluto as a planet. Pluto and Uranus. Neptune. I don't even. Yeah, there's been 4 agents. No, there's 3 left. Yeah, it's. Whatever. It's not the point. I don't think that's really too much. I put a lot of jokes in here, and they were all really subtle, like, really subtle. Like, I kind of forgot I put them in there until after I went back and checked in them. Sorry if I bored you too much with all these random Cannon Soldier loops that have been around forever and a day. Yeah, that's just me smacking my lips. Let's see. Yeah, Foolish Burial. Someone commented that I should have a Foolish Burial. That's probably a good idea. I remember I originally had it in there, but for some reason I hate Foolish Burial as a card. Like, I don't know why, I just do. And someone else kind of started going off about Wadapon, and I'm like, I don't really have any constructive things to say about why Wadapon should not be in here, besides the fact that it shouldn't. Someone else made a comment about obedience school and god cards. I was like, well, that has nothing to do with agents, and so that's why I was really confused. Because it could be, I mean, I think the best god narc deck, or just Egyptian god deck, is in frogs, just because you constantly have tributes. I don't know. I mean, maybe you could make a case for it in other things. I didn't really include Jupiter because I just hate that. I just don't really like that card at all. I really want them to make the other agents. Like, is that too much to ask? Apparently, that's too much to ask. It's a lot too much to ask. Life is hard, but yeah. So, oh, and other news. This deck can side a lot of things, which is really cool. If you want to, you can side things like Imperial Iron Ball, Mistake. You can side that pretty easily in here. I mean, that affects what, 4 cards, and that's not really that big of a deal. You can play Pot of Dichotomy in here. Not so much in the Agent version, just because most things are fairies, but in the other version, where I was running Giant Germ and then stuff like that. I ran Tour Guide in one version, but I hated that because that was absolutely terrible, so I would suggest running that. As long as you don't play the Herald of Perfection version, I think we're going to be friends. Pretty good friends. I'm just looking. I don't know, I think I talked about the loop too much in this, and yeah, that's a bit. And I use a lot of card names. I just see a lot of blue every time I look at this article, so... Well, I'm glad you watched this, if you did. Or I'm sorry that you watched this, since that was just painful for you. But, alright, thanks. Peace out, home slices.